So the question is, how are companies responding to these risks? And essentially you have a maturity curve where you have some companies leading edge. It's mostly the food and beverage industry. And they've been grappling with water for 5-10 years. They have in-house water experts. They've accounted for their water usage holistically and then down to the local level. So they know community level, their water usage, how it's used. And those companies have initiatives such as microfinance, where they are providing financing for the community to go out and build pipelines. And in some cases, they have net zero water usage in those areas for that reason. Now, those are the leading edge companies, and I think because they've moved so far, it's a bit daunting for other companies just starting to consider water usage. You have middle end of the maturity curve companies who are realizing that water will be an issue, that there'll be risks associated with that in the future. You have some companies setting reduction targets. There are many cases that I've talked to companies about their reduction targets and they're not quite sure how they're going to meet those. And then you have those companies who have talked about water but haven't taken the steps to really incorporate that into their business strategies. And I think there's a bit of hesitation in knowing how to incorporate that. So when I'm speaking to companies really along the maturity curve, the first step is developing a water management plan. And that's going to be to assess how and how much water does the business rely on throughout their operations. And you have to consider direct operations and then across the entire supply chain and how local water issues will affect those operations. That's water availability and quality, price volatility. There's reliance on energy sources, changing consumer preferences, and then new regulations, and that which will affect different regions, different countries, and there's a lot of uncertainty around that as well. Companies also need to consider who's going to be responsible for their water management plan or any specific targets, metrics that they put in place. So to just consider the governance throughout the business. Corporations who have implemented a water management plan and then taken steps to incorporate that plan throughout their business and then to communicate that to the public and to shareholders see an upside. They're guaranteeing their license to operate at a base level, but they're also increasing consumer sentiment. And when investors are asking these questions, they have something that they can show them. This is how we're managing our water, and this is how we will do it going forward.